Good morning, students of class 9. Welcome back to the online classes. We'll do history, pastoralists in the modern world. We have studied about the pastoralists of India, various communities living in various regions, and now we'll talk about, in our previous class also we have talked about the pastoralists in Africa, pastoralism in Africa, and we have talked about various communities, and we took the example of one community, that is Maasai, and their grazing grounds were taken away by the colonizers, and previously they had a large number of cows and sheep, and they had a vast area to graze their land, animals. Now after the colonial rule, so most of their grazing lands were taken away for cultivation, for construction of buildings, infrastructures, and for white settlements also we have talked about in our previous class. Today we will talk about most of their good pasture lands were taken away for settlements, white settlements, as well as for game reserve. So there are 4 points, and here is another one part. Pastoralists in the modern world. This is the title of the lesson. We are talking about pastoralism in Africa, and we are talking about the Maasai, one community of pastoralists. Where have the grazing lands gone? Now here, large areas of grazing lands were turned into game reserve. In our previous class we talked about game reserve, such as, now here names are given. Name some of the game reserves of Africa made by or constructed by colonizers. Here the names are Masai Mara, one, and Samburu National Park in Kenya, that's second, and Serengeti Park in Tanzania. There are 3, and they had a very huge area. So pastoralists were not allowed to enter these reserves to graze their land or to hunt there for their survival. For them and for their cattle, they were not allowed to enter there. So these game reserves, they had a number. There were many wild animals were there. Number of wild animals there in that grazing land where the tall grasses are there. So these people were not allowed to go there and hunt for their survival, or not allowed to go there and graze their animals for fodder. So if anyone caught, they were severely punished. So in this way, pastoralists were not allowed to enter these reserves. Take the example of Serengeti National Park of Tanzania. Take the example, Serengeti National Park, for example, was created over 14,760 kilometers. Such a huge area, 14,760 kilometers of Maasai grazing lands were taken over by the colonizers and made into a game reserve. Why it is called a game reserve? The colonial rulers or colonial officers used to go there and hunt only for them, for pleasure, not for survival, for pleasure. They used to go there and hunt for pleasure. But previously, the pastoralists used to go there and hunt, and they used to maintain their life for food. But now it was taken over. The grasslands were taken over, even they were not allowed to hunt there. Maasai were confinements kept in one area, isolated, kept in one area, small area, in dry regions. We have talked about in our previous class also. Maasai were confined within a small area towards the south, where water and fodder were scanty. Scanty means very little. Semi-arid regions, they were pushed to semi-arid regions towards the south, and feeding the cattle became a persistent problem. Persistent means everlasting, continuous problem, always. And whenever there is a drought, huge number of cattle died due to lack of food, lack of grass. So since it was a semi-arid regions, only thorny grasses, bushes, can say the grasses were not nutritious, not green, they were practically dry, and the cattle always remained hungry. So feeding the cattle remained a persistent problem there for this Maasai community. Not only Maasai, other communities were also there, but we are talking about Maasai, only one community for an example. So it became a persistent problem because the good grazing lands were taken over by the colonizers. They never thought about these native people, their problems, never looked at. So they faced hardships, continuous persistent problem to feed their animals as well as to maintain their livelihood and survive. So now here 3.2 now, this is 3.1, now here 3.2, the borders are closed. The borders, they were confined in a small area and they had a border. They were not allowed to go outside. Even if they want to go out, they need permission, a special kind of permission, and easily it was not given. So now here, there were restrictions. Restriction means there were not permissions were not given. Restrictions on their mobility, movement. Their movements were watched. They were not allowed to move out. Allowed to, here is to miss. They were not allowed to move out of the boundary without a permit. Without a permit. Without a permit. They were not allowed to go out from that area. The area was given to them. They must graze their animals there, and they were not allowed to move out from that area without a permit. And the permit was not easily given. And if anyone caught moving out from the boundary, naturally they were punished. Pastoralists were not allowed to enter markets also. Forget about these grazing lands. They were not allowed to enter the markets even. Such hardships they faced. Why? Because in white areas, they were not allowed to enter the market in white areas. White areas means where colonizers they lived. Their settlements were there. The market was there. So why? The whites thought, the white people or the colonizers or Europeans, you can say that, they thought that, and they thought and they saw these people as dangerous and savage. Savage means old, primitive, very, very dangerous. So they thought and saw these people as dangerous and savage. That's why they were not allowed to enter the white settlement areas or in the market also. So you see this Maasai community and other pastoralists, how hard they find it to live and survive. It wasn't like this before the colonial period. Once the colonial period started, or colonizers came there and settled and occupied their land, they find it very, very difficult to survive. You see that how much hardships they faced. So in their own homeland, they became homeless. In their own areas, Africa was their own homeland, and now they became vagabonds. They were thrown out of their areas, and a lot of restrictions were imposed. So poor people, these poor people were it is very sad to study and hear and learn about these people. So now the same thing was happening all around the world by these Europeans. Now you can see that. Now we'll continue in our next class. Thank you for watching the video. This much for today. Stay safe and do your regular studies at home. Make a habit of going through the online portal every day. And we'll meet in the next class. Thank you for watching the video. That's all for today.